Welcome to Devotionary, where we make the Bible accessible and applicable. The tribe of Levi wasn't just another tribe like all the others. It had been set apart by God and given a very special role to play in the lives of the people of Israel. Unlike the rest of the tribes, they were not given their own portion of the land of promise, but instead were provided with a series of cities in which they could live among the rest of the tribes. Their role was to act as the spiritual leadership of the people of Israel, instructing them in the law and overseeing the tabernacle and the sacrificial system. These men were dedicated to God and would find that their daily provision would be His responsibility. They answered to God and would be held responsible for the spiritual and moral well-being of His people. Not exactly an easy task when you consider their track record up to this point. But God has always provided His people with spiritual leadership. Like sheep, they require guidance and instruction, protection, and at times, discipline. And the Levites had their work cut out for them. During the days of Israel's wandering in the wilderness, God had given the tribe of Levi the responsibility of caring for the tabernacle and everything associated with it. They were declared by God to be a priestly order, with their descendants holding the distinct honor of serving the rest of the tribes of Israel in a spiritual capacity. They were to be unique among all the other tribes, not only because of their special God-ordained role, but because of God's declaration that they not be allotted their own portion of land as an inheritance. In the book of Numbers, we have recorded God's words to Moses that outlined His plans for the Levites. "Bring the tribe of Levi near, and set them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister to him. They shall keep guard over him and over the whole congregation before the tent of meeting, as they minister at the tabernacle. They shall guard all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, and keep guard over the people of Israel as they minister at the tabernacle. And you shall give the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They are wholly given to him from among the people of Israel. And you shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall guard their priesthood. But if any outsider comes near, he shall be put to death." Numbers 3, verses 6 through 10. And God gave Moses the reasoning behind his decision. "Behold, I have taken the Levites from among the people of Israel instead of every firstborn who opens the womb among the people of Israel. The Levites shall be mine, for all the firstborn are mine. On the day that I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I consecrated for my own all the firstborn in Israel, both of man and of beast. They shall be mine. I am the Lord." Numbers 3, verses 11 through 13. And later on, when God had given the law to Moses, He provided further details concerning the distinctive role of this particular tribe. At that time, the Lord set apart the tribe of Levi to carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord to minister to Him and to bless in His name, to this day. Therefore Levi has no portion or inheritance with his brothers. The Lord is his inheritance, as the Lord your God said to him. Deuteronomy 10, verses 8 through 9. But who were the Levites? And what had led God to choose them for this very special honor? To understand what's going on here, we have to go back to Exodus chapter 2, where we have recorded the birth of Moses. Now a man from the house of Levi went and took as his wife a Levite woman. The woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him 3 months. Exodus 2, verses 1 through 2. Moses was a pure-blooded Levite. His father Amram was a Levite, born to Kohath, who was a son of Levi, the third son of Jacob. Moses' mother was also a Levite. And Moses and his brother Aaron would become the first priest overseeing the well-being of the tribes of Israel as a whole. The Levites would become God's ordained instruments dedicated to His service and assigned the task of ministering to the spiritual needs of the people. They belonged to God, and as His servants, they were to be cared for by God. So when it came time to apportion the land of promise, they were not given a particular portion of the land, like all the other tribes. Instead, God gave them cities located within the boundaries of the other tribes, 48 cities in all. Each tribe was required to provide 4 cities each, and the Levites were given pasture land around those cities for their own use. This plan resulted in the Levites being equally distributed among the other tribes, providing them with ready access to the people of God, so that they might instruct them in the law and in the worship of Jehovah. The Levites did not become the sole inhabitants of these cities, and the cities did not become their possessions. The cities remained the property of the tribes on whose land they existed. But the Levites were provided places to live and a means for raising flocks to care for their needs. God became their provider and benefactor. God provided for his people. He had given them the land, but he had also provided them with a priestly clan, whose sole purpose was to teach the people the law and encourage them in their worship of God. God knew the people were going to need far more than land. He also recognized that their designation as his chosen people would not be enough to keep them faithful to his law and committed to the worship of him alone. In fact, one of the key reasons the Levites had been chosen by God is because of the role they had played in God's discipline of the people of Israel after they had made the golden calf in the wilderness. When Moses had seen what Aaron and the people had done while he had been on top of Mount Sinai receiving the law, he called for judgment to be enacted upon the people, and it was the Levites who responded. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, "Who is on the Lord's side? Come to me." And all the sons of Levi gathered around him. And he said to them, "Thus says the Lord God of Israel, put your sword on your side, each of you, and go to and fro from gate to gate throughout the camp, and each of you kill his brother and his companion and his neighbor." And the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And that day about 3,000 men of the people fell. And Moses said, "Today you have been ordained for the service of the Lord, each one at the cost of his son and of his brother, so that he might bestow a blessing upon you this day." Exodus 32, verses 26 through 29. The Levites, the tribe of Moses, came to his aid and to the defense of God's name, and brought just judgment upon all those who had worshipped the false god. This tribe was dispersed among all the other tribes in order that they might hold the people of God accountable. They were to be a strong influence for good among the people. "For they observed your word and kept your covenant. They shall teach Jacob your rules and Israel your law. They shall put incense before you and whole burnt offerings on your altar." Deuteronomy 33, verses 9 through 10. These men were dedicated to God. They belonged to him and were given the indispensable and unenviable task of keeping the people of God faithful to God. From their 48 cities spread all across the land of promise, they were to be salt and light among the tribes of Judah. Their job would not be an easy one, but it was vital to the spiritual well-being of the nation. Obedience was going to be the key to Israel getting the most out of their experience in the land. And the Levites were God's ambassadors, tasked with teaching the people the ways of God so that they might walk in obedience to God and fully know the blessings of God.